Skadi is a Norse goddess of winter and a member of the Jotun family of gods. The Jotuns are also known as giants, and they are a race of beings with similar powers to other Norse gods like Odin and Thor, but they are from a different world, the cold world of Jotunheim. She is the daughter of Thiazi, who is a god of the wind. Thiazi once tried to trick Loki into helping him steal apples of youth from the goddess Idun. This plan wasn't well thought through though, because Loki, as many of you know, is a god of trickery, and you have to be pretty smart to outsmart a god of trickery. Thiazi ended up dying at the gates of Asgard thanks to Loki, and the other gods celebrated the murder of the Jotun. Naturally though, when Skadi learned of her father's murder, she was not a happy camper. Skadi went straight to Asgard and began trashing the main hall of the gods. They tried to reason with her, and as a peace offering, Odin cast her father's eyes into the sky so they would twinkle forever as stars. She was unmoved by this though, and demanded a life for a life. Surprisingly, Loki came forward and began to dance and tell jokes. This made Skadi laugh, and she agreed that she would not kill any more gods. Odin still felt bad for killing her father, so he said to her, "As repayment for your father's demise, you can choose a husband from one of these gods and become a goddess yourself through marriage." Skadi agreed to this and looked around at all the eligible bachelors she had before her. She eventually decided to marry Njord because, and I'm not even kidding you, he had beautiful feet. Njord was a summer god, so that should give you an idea of how their marriage will go. The two split shortly after marriage because neither one could agree on where they wanted to live. Skadi wanted to return home to Jotunheim while Njord wanted to stay with the other gods in Asgard. Skadi eventually returned to her homeland where she would continue to hunt and ski across the mountains of Jotunheim. There isn't much more about Skadi from what I could find in a quick Google search at least, which honestly kinda surprises me. I figured since the Norse lived in such a cold area there'd be more stories about the goddess of winter. I guess I'm just surprised that she's not a more central figure in the mythology, because you could even argue that Skadi and the name of the area, Scandinavia, are connected in some way. Although it's kind of like the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did Skadi come from Scandinavia, or did Scandinavia come from Skadi? Who knows? I sure don't. If you're familiar with the game Smite, then you no doubt know about Skadi and her canine companion Calder. What you might not know, though, is that there is no myth whatsoever where Skadi has a pet dog she brings along with her while skiing. That's right, Calder was completely made up by the Smite dev team. Now this doesn't mean Calder's bad by any means, he's still a good boy. It was just an interesting fact to me because my introduction to Skadi was through Smite, and I always assumed that Calder was just a part of her mythology. I assumed this mainly because he's such a big component of her gameplay, but I guess you learn something new every day. As mentioned previously, Skadi is from the realm of Jotunheim, but what exactly is Jotunheim? According to the old Nordic religion, Jotunheim is a place on the world tree Yggdrasil. It is one of 9 worlds that are connected to this tree. Humans live on Midgard, the gods live on Asgard, and the Jotuns, as the name implies, live on Jotunheim. Jotunheim is similar to our world in the fact it has mountains, forests, and rivers, but is typically colder than ours, so farming is difficult. This doesn't bother the Jotuns though, because they hunt and fish for food. It's cold, but not so cold that it's covered in ice. That would be Niffleheim, which is the land of the dead for those who didn't die in battle. According to one of my sources, link below, Jotunheim can be translated as beyond the fence, and that translation comes from the idea of Enengard and Utengard. An alternate name for Jotunheim is Utengard. So Jotunheim is supposed to be that wild place outside of society. The Jotuns were wild and chaotic, while the gods of Asgard were proper and orderly. Although this idea kind of falls apart when you consider that most Norse myths feature the gods of Asgard drinking and partying. And as someone who is a college student, I can tell you drinking parties are never orderly. The concepts of Enengard and Utengard deserve a video of their own, but I know next to nothing about old Germanic or Norse culture and history. You know who does though? This cool YouTuber I know, Skjalden. I've been watching this guy for a while now, and he's like a walking encyclopedia of Norse culture. Not just mythology, but history and social practices too. Go check them out if you're interested in anything about the Old Norse. Alright, what a way to kick off the new year. Subscribe so you can catch the next video. I'm aiming for one every month. We'll see how things play out. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.